And this week we welcome in someone who covers Baylor, Matt Wilson, with the podcast Between Two Bears. Matt, welcome into the Sons of UCF Live.
Guys, what's going on? It has been an interesting summer. I'm so ready for the actual football portion of this, though. So I'm excited that things are changing and we're gathering new friends from schools that we have history with. But man, I'm just ready for the football.
We'll talk a little bit about football in just a second. But what's been the reaction in Waco and amongst the Baylor Bear Nation to the changes? Houston come in, Cincinnati, BYU, and of course UCF.
Excitement, I think. There's a real sense of either, some fans thinking the Big 12 is going to remain in the stature that they are, or they're going to be a more entertaining conference. I really, really enjoy the concept of having a BYU and a UCF, not to mention the state of the program for Houston, and of course, our latest playoff appearance with Cincinnati. That's such a good collection of not only on the field products, but fan bases too. You have a national brand, an international brand in BYU. You have an up and coming, I don't know, some in the SEC might call him a mess maker or a rabble rouser in Cincinnati. And then you have Dana down in Houston, who's always going to be entertaining. And UCF, I'm trying not to dig this isn't a therapy session. I'm not trying to dig too much into the past here, but like there's history there. So it makes for good rivalry potentials. And there's just a lot of excitement. And I share in that.
Yeah, that was my question, Matt. What's the perception of UCF specifically? You mentioned there's a past history, obviously, of our famous Fiesta Bowl matchup. What's the thought around UCF and sort of where the program is from Baylor's standpoint?
I think this season actually will provide a lot of background for those opinions, because I think a lot of Baylor fans in particular remember the Fiesta Bowl, and that was I don't know if the last piece of what they remember. I think they remember the great USF game that happened a couple years ago. Past that, I don't know that there's a lot of intentional watching of UCF football. Because it might leave a bad taste in our mouths. That being completely honest about that. But I really do think there will be renewed interest in that for this particular season. So especially with the Dylan Gabriel situation and just kind of, Gary Bohannon's going over to USF. So maybe there will be some, Passover interest there, but really interested to see what UCF does this season, because it's not going to be long before it's reality.
I wore this shirt on purpose because obviously this is a shirt we got after we beat you guys in the Fiesta Bowl.
I saw it. I know.
I want to take you back to that day.
I'm sure.
Confident were you in going into that game? How many points did you think you were going to beat us by? And now coming in, you think UCF is ready to compete right away in this conference?
Oh, boy. I do have the opportunity to just completely bypass all of those questions and jump into the last one. I won't do that, though. How confident was I going into that game? Fairly, I would say. There was some hype around Blake Bortles and that offense, but we're Baylor. We do practice against that same style of offense every week. There's no reason why we can't, right? And as soon as UCF very easily, I would say, put up, 28 in the first half or so, and Baylor, I think, barely scratched together 20, I realized that, this is one of those games where Baylor fans have to understand what the limitations of this offense are. And when they do show themselves, it can get ugly. And at the end of that game, notice how I just skipped over everything else. At the end of that game, I was like, man, why do I care about football so much? So I was like, I should start a family. Looking over my wife, I was like, we should have a kid. And sure enough, a year and a half later, we have a kid. But I wish I could go back and watch that game as a more objective fan like I am now, being able to, externalize some of that fandom and just watch it as a football fan, because it was a great game. It was an absolutely fun game. But I was pretty confident, and then quickly, even before halftime, I was like, "Oof, this is looking familiar," because we'd seen that a couple times.
Let me serve up a friendlier question.
Thank you.
Talk about men's and women's basketball at Baylor and what UCF is looking at when they join this league.
Let's start with women's basketball. So, I might be in the minority by saying I wasn't terribly displeased to see Kim Mulkey go, but you have to give her flowers here by saying she was the one that created the program that started the escalation of sports success at Baylor. So all of this national renown that Baylor is trying to accrue and succeeding in some areas, that started with women's basketball for Baylor. Be it the titles, the Big 12 titles, whatever you want to focus on, the draft picks, the recruiting, it started there. And then you have Scott Drew come along and literally build a champion out of nothing. It was at a point where they were walking around campus trying to recruit walk-ons and nobody was interested. Just guys from the rec center, and nobody was interested. Baylor basketball is actually the reason I became aware of Baylor. I was watching, I'm pretty sure it was a Texas Tech game in Lubbock, and Aaron Bruce, you guys don't really have a reason yet to understand that name, but Aaron Bruce dove for a ball out of bounds, and I thought to myself, wow, that guy plays too hard. And so Baylor became kind of like embedded in my brain. I wish there was, it's Texas, so football is always going to be king. But these basketball programs now, with Nikki Collin leading the women's team, they are showing that you can have sustained success at a small private school in the middle of Texas. And I really think that as this success continues, because I do believe it will, you look at the recruiting for women's and men's basketball, I do believe it will continue. It has to. And this is me speaking wishfully. It has to garner more attention internally for the student body that's on campus. But it's extremely important to the alumni base. And that's where I think a lot of the excitement is coming from. With the recent success in the men's program, you get to see a team that comes into the conference in Houston that Baylor had a fantastic matchup in the Final Four in 2021. You look at a BYU program that's continuously kind of overlooked, maybe too strong, but very strong program. You look at Cincinnati, historically strong, and then UCF. I really want to see that program get back to where they were, challenging for getting into the tournament on a regular basis, because I think the talent is there and the infrastructure can be there to get them back where they need to be pretty quick. So basketball is my personal, that's my love. I love college basketball more than college football, but so I might be biased here, but the excitement is there, and I think it's going to grow.
Yeah, we'd also like to see UCF basketball get anywhere close to contending for a tournament. But so we've been trying to educate our fans, Matt, on what to expect. Obviously, new cities for a lot of our fans going to, what to expect if they make it out to a game. So I've got a couple questions I need clarity on. Can you tell me more about sailgating? Sounds like a really good idea. That river looks kind of brown. Is that even a river, first of all? And it looks kind of brown when you look at it on Google. Can you tell me more about sailgating?
So McLean Stadium is on the Brazos River, and it definitely is a river. It is larger than it looks like from some like the game day tape and things of that nature. So is it the cleanest water in the world? Hey, man, that's not what I came on here to talk about. But no, no, you don't want to go swimming in it. But there is a marina there for, I don't know, 2 to 3 dozen boats, and you have people that park their boat there, and that's where they tailgate, and it's fantastic. I will say though that my personal experience is that the tailgating around that marina is high level. It is truly enjoyable. I wouldn't say it is of the amped up. We've been looking forward to this one particular Saturday all year, and we've prepared for 3 months for this one particular meal. I wouldn't say it's like that LSU level yet, but it is a very relaxed, like fun, friendly environment. You have a lot of different schools that come through here and say, wow, this was fantastic. Everybody was super nice. And I hung out with people that are Baylor fans and we just met, and it was a great experience. And then there's some more tailgating across one of the roads that runs next to the stadium. And that's where it gets a little, I'll say fratty and a little bit more of a party situation. And admittedly, that's where I go hang out to tailgate. But it's a really strong scene. Don't go swimming in the Brazos, but swing by and have a couple beers, and it's a really good time.
So Dave Aranda seems to have the program heading in the right direction now. You guys obviously have a very thrilling championship game last season. What are the expectations for the team this year, and where do you expect them to finish in the conference?
Who's this?
Okay, so I am usually the realist amongst my group of friends, right? The people at Our Daily Bears that I talk with, I'm usually the realist. Let's temper those expectations, especially when it comes to basketball. I don't know. Let's temper those expectations. Everything will be fine, but we don't need to, put hyperbole on it. With that understanding, I am more bullish on this particular Baylor team than I expected to be. And it's because of a history of decisions that Dave Aranda has already made that has just increased my level of trust with him and this coaching staff to a level I never had with any previous coaches, ones that we won't name, and then Matt Rule, and I guess Jim Grobe in there too, who never really made any decisions. Anyway, but I have so much confidence in this coaching staff. I'm very high on this team. You look at the decision to fire Larry Fedora after 1 year. That offense was a disaster, and I think there might have been some interpersonal issues there as well. But to be that decisive that quick and make the hire of Jeff Grimes, and then to turn around and say our quarterback play has to be better. We have to be more dangerous through the air. And then to make that decision during spring ball and give Gary Bohannon the ability to go transfer somewhere where he can play, that inspires a lot of confidence in me. And if it's inspiring a lot of confidence in some nobody in Central Texas, it's got to inspire confidence in the team. I think this team will play hard, and I think there are enough experienced pieces coming back from last season's team, as well as a couple of impact transfers on defense. I think the talent level is still there. There's a ton lost on defense, and some of the wide receiver room is going to look a lot different. I have this team like at a floor. I hate saying this out loud. At a floor of 9 wins. Like, that would be disappointing to me. 9 wins would be pretty disappointing. I expect this team to be in the Big 12 championship game. I expect this team to be first or second in the conference.
All right, Matt, before we let you go, I got to ask a question. I needed a Baylor expert, and luckily we found one. Can you explain this? What are we wearing here? What is this? Listen, we've had our issues with coaches and outfits. We had the Shackett favor. Is this a smock? Is this a short sleeve shirt? Can you give me any clarity on what the hell this is?
So you nailed it. It's a smock.
Okay.
Matt,
and that's
Rule,
the coach, right? Yeah. So that's the head coach wearing that. Okay.
That's Matt Rule. So there were a lot of confusing things that happened during the Matt, not bad at all, just confusing things that would pop up during the Matt Rule tenure. The smock being the first, and everybody's immediate reaction is, "Oh, you don't. That wasn't marketed to you. That's not for you. That's for like a running back coach, like who's jacked and who wears it without a T-shirt underneath, and like I think it's supposed to be." That's the other part. Nobody knows what the utilization of this garment is. Nobody had. Is it like a rain protection thing, but no arms? You don't need to protect your arms. Like, is it like a golf vest thing? No, that can't be it. does it keep you warm? Well, you're wearing it in August and in Central Texas. Like, no, that can't be. So nobody still has any idea what this thing is. Now, a couple of other individuals who are like pretty built guys were wearing this, and it looks pretty cool. If you're jacked, it looks pretty cool. Past that, man, I have no idea. I have zero idea. Not my style.
Fair enough.
Mike is already interested in trying out a version of this on next week's show.
My co-host, Evan Abear of Between Two Bears, owns one of the smocks. Wow. I'll have to get a picture over to you guys. He's not as we'll call it blocky as I am. He's walking 6 miles a day. We talk about it all the time on the pod. He's walking between 3 and 6 miles a day, and he's pretty fit, but he's really skinny. So like, it's not even like a skinny thing to make it look good. It does look cooler on him than I think it would look on me. But yeah, now I'm confused. I'm going to be thinking about that all night. I'd forgotten about the smock.
You're welcome.
Happily, I think.
Matt Wilson of Between Two Bears covers Baylor athletics. Thanks for being a good sport and joining us on the Sons of UCF.
Yeah, absolutely. Please listen in. We don't talk about Baylor sports all that much. I know that sounds insane, but we talk more about the things that are surrounding Baylor sports, like strippers that have monkeys in their act and that bite children. And
what's the name of that place? What's the name of that place for when we travel out there?
You'll have to go back and listen to the episode that was titled, I believe, "Step Monkey, What Are You Doing?" I believe was the name of that episode. And then ourdailybears.com. We have a collection of really, really strong writers over there. Very friendly group. Really smart, funny people, and there's a lot of good content coming out there too.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Looking forward to playing you guys again.
It'll be fun. Better than the last time, Hope? I don't know. I feel bad.
Not for us. It turned out pretty good the last time.
Thanks, Matt.